just to clear some stuff up for residents. I don't know why the mayor always lying, but
I am not lying, Trustee Henyard.
Let me just get my statement out. I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I just want to make a statement.
And I don't take time to you saying that I'm lying.
Hi, you guys. Welcome back. So yeah, we're starting off Trustee Tiffany Henyard. Okay, if you guys don't know, she used to be a trustee, but here she is pushing the mayor's buttons, doing what she does best, you know, getting under people's skin, you know, being real disrespectful, like all that good stuff, all those wonderful things that we look for in a mayor, right? All right, you guys, let's get on with this video. I'm not going to be doing a lot of talking throughout this one. It's basically going to be about Tiffany Henyard exposing herself, her true self, because as we know, you give someone enough rope, they're going to hang theirself. All right, especially someone like Tiffany Henyard, because I believe she's a narcissist. I believe she's a sociopath, but these are just all my hypotheses. I am not a professional, so let's put that disclaimer in there really fast. These are all just my unexpert opinions from Google searches. But yes, like I said, I believe she's a sociopath and a narcissist, and she just can't help herself. She has to have the limelight and she has to have the last word. So we're going to get started. And to give you guys some context before I start playing this next clip, this is a Zoom board meeting when the old mayor was still the mayor, and they were doing virtual board meetings because it was right after the COVID pandemic, things like that. So right now they are doing citizens address. Let's watch.
There's another question. It states, what is the purpose of a policy to present bills to the board over $5,000 if the policy is not being followed?
Well, I'm going to say one thing. Prior to me taking office, the mayors had approval up at one time to approve bills up to $25,000, and is up to different mayors had approval up to $25,000, and there were some mayors had approval for $10,000. When I had an adverse board, they took the power away from me of hiring and firing people when I knew that there's some people that need to be fired, and I knew there was some areas that we need to hire. And they reduced my authority to pay bills. So the cumulative bills that the tree trimming company had submitted was not one bill for the $66,000, but it was multiple bills in the accumulation of paying them.
Thank you. The next question.
Okay, I got something to say to that. Just to clear some stuff up for residents. I don't know why the mayor always lying, but
I am not lying, Trustee Henyard.
Let me just get my statement out. I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I just want to make a statement.
And I don't take time to you saying that I'm lying.
He has total control of hire and fire. The board does nothing with hire and fire.
I vetoed this ordinance. This ordinance actually gives me no authority in regards to the hiring or firing of any employee here in the village of Dolton, other than my appointed department heads. The amended section says employee hiring. The hiring of all employees other than appointed officers and the amount of their initial salary shall be approved by the Board of Trustees prior to any offer of employment is made.
The board does nothing with hire and fire.
The Board of Trustees shall be provided with the resumes and any additional information compiled by the village for all applicants prior to their approval. D. Appeal of the employee termination. Any employee other than appointed officers and employees covered by a collective bargaining agreement may appeal their termination of employment to the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees shall approve or disapprove the termination after allowing the employee and mayor to submit written evidence no later than the second regular village board meeting after termination. If the Board of Trustees disapproves the termination, the employee shall be restored to the position from which he or she was removed.
So he always putting it off of, I didn't have control, I don't have that, and he has bad money management. That's another reason why the board did that action. The mayor cannot manage money.
When you first asked for fireworks, you asked for $5,000. We spent $3,000 in June that was paid to Mayor Bombers. I requested a copy of donations before anybody says we got donations. We got a $2,000 donation from the Thornton Township, and then $1,000, which I don't know if that was actually for the fireworks from 5 Point Star Concrete. But you went over the $5,000 and spent an additional $3,000. Total bills right now for special events that you spent is $30,000 in 3 months. The spending for these events has become ridiculous. So I feel as a resident that this show, which was a nice show, but of course it did not come in consent with all the additional spending that you made a decision to spend. So I'm asking to remove those items until we can do something about your spending.
So in order for us to keep the village funds where they are, we took that away from him because he just spend, as you can see from the $60,000.
Here is a bill here that we have made. One bill is for 12/14/2023. The other bill is for 8/31/2023. It is for Moscow Designs. Beautiful Christmas ornaments, I must say myself. They cost us $65,000 that the vendor is looking for payment as of Friday. And I do have the information here, so I do have fact check. I had her send me the email so everyone can have a copy and see this. We are not paying our bills. Yeah, we got the bag, but it must be empty because we ain't paying no bills here. $65,000 for Christmas lights. Again, they're beautiful. $40,000 for meat electric, $40,000 plus. To be exact, $40,518.88. And this came from the account receivable young lady, Kristen Daly. So this is not a lie. $40,000. We wonder why we can't get street lights. We're not paying our bills.
So in order for us to keep the village funds where they are, we took that away from him because he just spend, as you can see from the $60,000.
On top of that, we have a bill for $19,899.60. They are for 122 banners of Jonas Tree. For everybody's
quiet, please.
Now I wonder where these banners are going to go. Somebody tell me. 122 banners, they all can't fit here. So they must going to go up and down the street on City.
Each check shall be signed by the mayor and the clerk. We have a $500,000 check signed by Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Y'all wonder why we worried about the money? This is why we worried about the money. $561,000 check with one signature on there. It's a problem. That means that money is being spent, and after we don't find out till after the check's been cashed. That's why we're up here complaining about it.
I like how people throw numbers up here and say I signed a check. What is it?
So are you saying that you didn't sign it?
What's the check I signed?
It's for the construction, but it wasn't approved until you signed it and they cashed it.
Go ahead. What construction?
It's for an asphalt company, but you signed it and they cashed it before we approved it. I don't care how you want to say it.
You can word it however you want. You can lie on me. You
didn't do what you were supposed to do. It's a process. That's the issue. It's a process. You're not following the process. And that's why we had an issue.
I always follow the process.
You don't.
I have a statement. I stated at the last board meeting as it related to people giving manual checks without board approval. I disagree with that. And I also disagreed with paying one particular vendor, Pekarski and Son, and you guys still cut them a manual check when the entire body agreed to not pay them, and you guys still paid them anyway. So I still would like to know who cut the check or who approved the check. So whether that was Mayor Rogers or the administrator or Janet's, either or, I still want to know who approved it or who told you to approve or cut that check. Okay. So I'm clear. You're basically stating that the mayor approved a manual check after the board approved not to pay the individual. So basically, he's doing what he wants to do.
May 12, 2021, a resolution was passed. The following persons are hereby authorized to be added as signatories for all city accounts. After approval of payment by the village board, each check shall be signed by the mayor and the clerk We have a $500,000 check signed by Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Y'all wonder why we worried about the money? This is why we worried about the money.
So basically, he's doing what he wants to do.
Trustee, I can only tell you what was told to me. I was not in the room when that happened, so what Janice told me was that the mayor instructed her to issue that check.
And then while we're here, if I may, Mayor Pro Tem, I had a question as it relates.
So really quick, you guys, I wanted to point out when Tiffany's saying Mayor Pro Tem, I had a question as it relates. She's addressing Jason House, who's a trustee at the time. And he's stepping in as Mayor Pro Tem because the mayor at that time had fallen ill. I think he got COVID, but he just really had a hard time recovering from his health. And this is around election time when Tiffany was running for mayor. So unfortunately, he wasn't really able to recover fully due to his health issues. And so Tiffany was just having a field day, of course, taking advantage of his health condition to boost herself up. So the Mayor Pro Tem is just basically someone who steps in and acts as the mayor when the mayor is unavailable for whatever reason. Now, from what I know, I think they nominate the person to be the Mayor Pro Tem. So I'm bringing this up because throughout the board meetings, I've never seen Tiffany Henyard be nominated for Mayor Pro Tem in the absence of the mayor. Now, I feel like this was kind of strange, right? Because here we have someone who was just running to be mayor, and she was always there for the residents. But in the same breath, she was never nominated to step in as Mayor Pro Tem. Unless I'm missing something, you guys. Unless you guys can find a board meeting somewhere where she was, then I'm wrong. But yeah, I just found that weird because maybe if she was nominated to act in that position at one point, then people might have seen the red flags easier. When she was actually given that little bit of taste of power, she might have showed more of her true self. Even though we can all agree there were multiple red flags there to begin with anyways. But I just feel if she would have been given that taste of leadership in the beginning, people might have been able to see her true character and how she acts in a leadership role. But like I've said before, people tend to see what they want to see, in the name of progress, in the name of being the first this or that, in the name of making history. They tend to ignore some of the red flags, see what they want to see, and turn the other cheek. All right, you guys, let's continue because Tiffany Henyard is not done exposing herself. You know what I mean. I'm not saying, I don't mean exposing herself in a literal sense, you guys. Once it came out my mouth, it just made me laugh. But let's continue.
So that is the reason why. So if y'all got any questions, y'all can contact Trustee Henyard about that. Thank you.
That is not true. For how many years
did you? It's no argument, Mayor. It's no
argument. Did you put an ordinance in place where I could not hire or fire? You and previous boards have put an ordinance in place for me hiring and firing.
And when I know that people were stealing over there,
when there were problems in the water department, I wanted to fire some people over there. You put that ordinance in place to help secure your people that you had put in the water department.
I never hired anyone in the village of Dolton. Number one, let's get that cleared on the record.
How many people did you hire? How many people did you and the previous board put in place? How many people did you and the previous board hire that I could not fire when I knew there was some irregularities going on?
Okay, you finished. You got total control of the board. 2 years now, right? Yes, you do. Of hire and fire.
The reason I vetoed this because a lot of times politics can play into the role of a person that needs to be hired and or terminated. So I have no authority to terminate an employee that may not be up to the standards of doing his duties. So anyway, there's no more discussion. Roll call.
On the motion to override the mayor's veto, Trustee Muhammad.
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs.
Aye.
Trustee House.
No.
Trustee Denton absent. Trustee Pearson.
Aye.
Trustee Henyard. Trustee Henyard.
I got a question.
I'm sorry, Trustee. No discussion. We are roll call.
Attorney, it's majority, right?
It takes 4 votes to override.
Can you repeat the question, clerk?
On the motion to override the mayor's veto, of ordinance number 18-002. Motion would be to approve the override of the mayor's veto.
To override it.
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Henyard, I need your support on this motion.
There's no discussion, Mayor.
You're not running this, Trustee Mohammed. You've given your vote, and that's it. I need your support on this, Trustee Henyard.
And Attorney Murphy, this to give the board the power to do the hiring and firing, correct?
Yes, it would require board approval of hiring and firing of any and all employees, and if it requires the mayor to submit reasons in writing as to why he's removing an employee, and would allow that to be overturned by a vote of the board.
Well, I'm definitely for transparency, so I'm a vote aye.
Motion carries 4.
Okay, the motion passed. My veto is overridden.
You got total control of the board. 2
I
years
do
now,
not.
right? Yes, you do. Of hire and fire.
Hiring and firing of any and all employees.
Well, I'm definitely for transparency, so I'm a vote aye.
Motion carries 4.
So stop putting it off on shoulda, coulda, woulda, or what happened 10 years
All
ago.
those
We talking about
previous
now.
years, all
2
those
years.
previous years, all those previous years with all those problems in the water
You got
department.
excuses. You got
and I
excuse after
could not
excuse.
hire or fire.
What's the excuse now, Mayor? You got total control to hire and fire. The water department's messed up because of who you hired to run the water department. Let's be clear about that.
That's not
You.
true.
You hired that person.
That's
and
not
that
true.
person was not fit to manage. You
That's
did.
not true.
So let's get all that correct on the record. The mayor has
You-
total control.
You approved
stop.
to hire him.
Okay, next question, Giovanni, so we can go home.
This is what has been the problem in the village. You, for the last 8 years, you have stopped 99%,
we finna find out
of
who
the
the problem
progress.
is. Don't worry about it.
99% of the
Definitely
problems that happen in this village, you're responsible for. 99% of the stuff that we
Now
couldn't
responsible.
get
I
passed,
didn't know I ran the village. Oh, I don't run the village.
you
Mayor.
voted
do.
against 99% of the
you.
progress. 99% of the progress for this village, you voted against.
I want to pause right there for a minute to educate you on something. What politicians do when y'all see them just at the standstill with a tax levy is during the election year. The election year, they don't raise the taxes, so when they're at your doors, they can say, I didn't raise your taxes. But then right when they get in office, the next year, they raise the property taxes, as you can see. So sometimes you'll see it the same, and you wonder why it's the same. It's not because they didn't need the money. It's because you had to re-elect them, so they didn't raise the property taxes.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is tax levy 2020. Chris, you want to respond to this?
Trustees, Mayor, have to pass, as everyone is aware, we have to pass a tax levy to levy taxes for next year. Today is just for discussion purposes for me to find out what is the board's overall intention regarding the tax levy.
Trustee Henyard.
Thank you. Chris, I want you to be clear so residents understand you as well, because you said a lot. What are you asking the board to do? Are you asking us to increase the levy? What are you asking us to do, to vote on?
For the December meeting, we are going to be increasing the pension levies by a small amount to cover so that you guys can get to your required contribution level to fund your pensions appropriately.
And what is that amount? So you're asking us to raise taxes. What is that amount? Let's be clear. I want to break it down so people understand the lingo that we're talking about. So how much you trying to ask us to raise it by?
You are raising it by 1% of the levy, which equates to, depending on you're looking from a property owner's tax level, I can give you that if that helps.
Yeah, but I just want to be clear to them what it is you're asking of us and why you asking us to raise the property taxes.
I'm asking you to raise the taxes because we need to achieve appropriate funding levels for your pension, and also to appropriately fund the future payroll that is going to be needed because of the increase in union contracts for payroll.
Okay, so what's the downfall if we do not raise the taxes? What happens?
We are going
What's plan B?
Plan B is we are going to have cost-cutting measures to cover the increases that are coming with payroll. And eventually you're going to have to subsequently down the line pass on larger increases to cover your decreases in not funding your pensions.
And I know Jason said he has to digest it. He said tonight he has to digest it and look through it. And let's look at the actual numbers, and then we can make an educated vote. But we're not voting on it tonight, but now we know it's on our plate.
No one said that, Trustee Steves. The problem is you guys are talking about raising property taxes. So tell the residents that. They don't understand all this jargon that we're speaking of. So just be 100 with the people is what I'm saying. Be clear. They don't understand.
So the reason why she's really doubling down right now, because this meeting took place in November 6, 2020. And this was when her seat as a trustee was running out. Basically, her term was ending and she wouldn't be able to run again as a trustee. So then she decided to run for mayor. And this is around the time she's really ranking up the campaigning. She's really going hard at the mayor, like really super ultra disrespectful, okay?
You got excuses. You got to excuse out the excuses.
Hire or fire.
What's the excuse now, Mayor? You got total control to hire and fire. The water department's messed up because of who you hire to run the water department. Let's be clear about that.
And as we can see, at the same time as she's being really disrespectful towards the mayor, she's trying to use the residents as a pawn and trying to gain their trust. She's pressing the mayor, she's really pressing the finance director, you know, because she's really concerned about the residents, okay? She just wants to make sure that their property taxes are not going to get increased, all right? But like I said before, her seat as a trustee is running out because she's coming up to her 8-year mark. Now let's go back a little bit in time, because she used to pull the same tactics as a trustee around election time. When her seat came up for trustee, she would always vote against the taxes. Let's watch.
Mayor?
Yes.
I got a comment. I am against the increase, and the reason being is I do talk to Dolton residents, mainly seniors, and every senior is either on a fixed income and they can't afford the increase. They barely can afford their bills now. Most of them are losing their homes, currently in foreclosure. So I don't think by increasing anything at this moment would be feasible for the board to move Dolton in the right direction. I think that at least you guys should consider a year later on an increase and not currently. I think that we should personally go back to the budget and scrub the budget down.
So you guys, here we have Trustee Henyard back in 2015, and you know, she was going against taxes then. But was she going against taxes because she was really there for the residents? That quite possibly could be the case, because she was a resident herself, right? And as we know, she has always been into real estate, so of course she wants property taxes to be low, all right? But I think really she was doing that because it was around election time. If we see the date of this meeting, it is in November. That's usually around the election time that the trustees have to again run for their seat. Okay? And if I'm not mistaken, they have to run every year. And so what I'm just showing you really fast are just some snippets from her Facebook of her campaigning her runs for a trustee over the years. So Trustee Tiffany Henyard would go against the taxes openly in the board meetings to show the residents like, hey, I'm the trustee you want. She even dubbed herself the people's trustee. Now she's the people's mayor, people's super, whatever. She's for the people. We get it. All right. We get it. So here's another example of Trustee Tiffany Henyard, quote unquote, voting against taxes. Now I want to say quote unquote because the way she did it was kind of backhanded. She did it in a way so she can kind of stay in the safe zone of the residents. Let's watch and then I'll explain.
Ordinance number 17-044 approving 1.1 million tax anticipation warrant TAW.
I make a motion to pass ordinance number 17-044. Second.
It's been motioned and second. Any discussions?
Attorney, can you just give us an overview of that so everybody understands what we are voting for on that 1.1 tax anticipation?
Yes, this is a part of what was explained at the special meeting, part of the entire financing package. What this does is allow the village to borrow money immediately in anticipation of getting our first installment property taxes. Essentially, this is, in effect, it's a bridge loan to get us over the hump until the large infusion of property taxes come in March.
Trustee Muhammad?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee House?
Aye.
Trustee Denton?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Trustee Henyard?
Abstain.
So in this case, they were actually voting on a loan in anticipation for the taxes. So basically, if you vote yes on this loan, then that means you're essentially voting yes on the taxes that are to come, all right, to cover the loan. But Tiffany Henyard chose to abstain on the vote. And when someone abstains from a vote, it doesn't mean that they're in favor or against the vote. It just simply means that they made a conscious decision to not vote. So that's a way of kind of not picking sides and kind of just taking yourself out of it completely, when I honestly feel like that probably shouldn't even be an option. Okay, because then you're just playing the safe zone. And that's exactly what she did here, to do what? Stay in favor of the residents, right?
Election year, they don't raise the taxes, so when they're at your doors, they can say, I didn't raise your taxes. But then right when they get in office, the next year, they raise the property taxes, as you can see. Not because they didn't need the money, it's because you had to re-elect them, so they didn't raise the property taxes.
So there you have it, you guys, straight from the horse's mouth, okay? She went to Run Your Mouth University and she majored in politics. I mean, that's what she calls it herself, because she knows that it's just a big game, and she really studied over the years as a trustee on how the previous mayors acted. She studied all the sly stuff, all the times they hooked their friends up, all the times, you know, the mayor might have lied. She studied all that. But like I say with Tiffany Henyard, not only has she done things that have been done before, like she says herself,
it wasn't a problem before. I'm not doing anything different than what was warranted for the seat.
but she does it to the 1000th degree, okay? She takes it to a place no one would ever think that she would take it to. And she's so blatant with it, all right? Because I think she knows she has a lot of people on her side. Well, I won't say a lot of people, but the certain people that are on her side have power. So that might be why she's still in her seat to this day. These are just my speculations, okay? So you guys, that's going to be it for today. Once again, if you enjoyed the video, please remember to leave it a like. And if you're new here, subscribe.
You're the leader. What do you suggest we do?
It goes to
that we what?
It goes to the committee, and the board decides whether they want to increase it or not. It's not up to me.
That's what I'm talking about with better leadership. Right. You never give any opinion because you don't want to be held accountable for anything. I don't like that. So now you put back on the board, but you never say what you think, Mayor. What do you think, Mayor?
Trustee, when I tell you what I think, then you start an argument with me.
And I always tell you, do your homework. You can FOIA it. You can go check it out. You can get the ordinances. That way you'll see who is doing what instead of being misled. Because right now, guys, you have been hoodwinked. You've been bamboozled. You've been led astray.
This is what has been the problem in the village. You, for the last 8 years, you have stopped 99% of the problems that happen in this village. You're responsible for it. You voted against 99% of the progress. 99% of the progress for this village, you voted against.